This is a book by Michael Sutlow, How the Bible Became Holy. I have not read the book. I will be reading from its epilogue, which I think it's interesting. And while I'll be reading, I will leave my right hand to draw an image of Jesus. Without see what I am drawing, you will be able to see it, I will not. So here it is, I start reading and drawing. In the 3rd century after Jesus, the Bible, as we know it, it still did not exist. There was, to our knowledge, no single codex or composition that combined all or most of the writings that comprise either the Jewish Bible, Old Testament, or the New Testament, and all the more so both together. By this time, most Jews and Christians considered most of the writings that would become part of our Bible or of our Bibles as holy and authoritative in one way or another. It would take another several centuries, though, for the canonical Bible to emerge. Christians were the first to develop a formal canon. In 367 after Jesus, Athanasius, Bishop of Alexandria, enumerated the precise lists of books in the Old and New Testament that right-believing Christians should consider holy. The Church ultimately made these books the official Bible. Now let's look at it. Let's look at the drawing I was doing without looking while I was reading the book, and look at it, look at it. There's a face of Jesus, or at least someone that looks like Jesus, but anyway, it's a beautiful face. Where did it came from? It's very, very strange, this. I don't know where it came from. I spent so much time these days to figure out what happens when I am drawing in the blind without looking. I will continue now reading the book, and my right hand will go on making drawings, but this time not with a pencil, but with ink. And I will draw again a face of Jesus. The issue of text and canon was connected to issues of heresy, and with the increasing Christianization of Byzantium, heresy also became a matter of state. A heresy was a legal status that could have serious consequences. Jewish heresies, though, were not labeled and regulated by the state. Throughout late antiquity, the rabbis did occasionally talk about the status of this book or that, but they were content to work with an implicit canon. There was more diversity among other Jews. As late as the 6th century, some synagogues read the Torah in Greek. But to our knowledge, Jews did not standardize their canon. Let's now stop again and look at the drawing that I have produced in the blind without looking. Here it is. You were watching it all this time, but I just see it now, and look at it. It feels as if the person who drew this drawing has Christian faith. One thing I know about myself is that I am not gifted with such a faith. I am not a Christian. Unless I am after all a strong believer to the person of St. Francis, whom I am drawing now, while at the same time I am reading
from the book of Michael Sutlow, How the Bible Became Holy.
Jewish and Christian approaches to the authority of the Bible came closer together beginning in the early 3rd century after Jesus. With their authorized text and translations, Christian churches moved closer to the earlier rabbinic version, to the earlier rabbinic view of the primacy of text over message. The Bible itself as a book grew to be an important religious item to be illustrated, protected, and revered, not casually discarded. Rabbis, on the other hand, increasingly began to pay attention to the message of the Bible as the Jews of Alexandria had done long before. Today, both Jewish and Christian approaches to the Bible are much more similar than they were in the 3rd century after Jesus. Let's see what I did here. Oh, wow.
I will start now my last drawing using again this time paint, and at the same time I will be reading from this book How the Bible Became Holy by Michael L. Sutlow. Words create communities. Texts do not naturally give rise to reading communities. It is a reading community that gives authority to the texts. In the social and cultural world in which many of us live, we are members of many groups that are held together by a large variety of forces, including common interests, family or ethnic ties, beliefs, and pragmatism. Yet, a surprising number of these groups, both professional and social, anchor themselves to the production or consumption of written words. If the literary authority of texts is very much with us today, their oracular authority, unsurprisingly, is not. In antiquity, people assigned oracular authority to texts that they believed contained divinely given messages, particularly about the future. This is the primary sense in which the Bible was thought holy. It was a book of oracles. Today, many people continue to read the Bible or other books in this sense, analyzing its words for messages about what will happen or seeking direction in what we, as a community or as individuals, should do in a particular situation. And now again I am looking to this drawing that I did while I was reading from the book, and again this drawing, but this one in particular, it's such an orthodox, it's such a perfect face of Jesus. Look at it all together now, these drawings I produced today while I was reading from this book, while I was not looking what I was drawing, while I was drawing in the blind. Images were coming to my brain from somewhere, from where. I am not a believer, I don't believe they come from Jesus, I don't believe they come from God. Where do these images come from? To be continued.